Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm replay cast. Continuing on, it's game number 2 here between our Terran and Zerg foes, or competitors, I guess, because they're not my foe. They're pretty cool dudes. Down at the bottom right-hand side is our Red Terran player here for Team Frenetic Array. It is Aegis. Now he fell down in the previous match. I actually put 2 there for Patreus. It's meant to be a 1. Just fiddling around with the game heart overlay there, but he did fall down. He went for a little bit of an earlier push with Marauders and Hellions, and unfortunately it didn't work out as well for him. Normally, as I mentioned in that game, Aegis normally does really quickly go up to 3 bases and then just does the Terran Terror train with Marines, Mines, and Medevacs just constantly pushing towards the 4th base of the Zerg, but he went for something different. Unfortunately, didn't play out there because our Zerg player to the top left-hand side as the yellow color will be Frenetic Array's Patreus. Now, Patreus got his mutas out. He got a ridiculous amount of banelings when he tried to counter the attack on his 4th and actually just smashed through everything with it. So he did quite a good job with that. Had a couple of upgrades rolling as well. Aegis did have 2-2 in the end, but unfortunately it was just not enough. His production was not as I suppose grand as it normally is, so he wasn't able to get out all the forces that he needed to take out any of the Zerg units that were slowly pushing into his base. But as I mentioned in game number 1, thank you for joining in this game. Of course, as always, just feel free to share and subscribe to the channel. Jump onto Facebook as well. Facebook.com/duckfield.casting is where you'll find all sorts of stuff that I post about Dota 2, StarCraft 2, many other games as well. And I also do a lot of streaming over on twitch.tv/duckfieldlol, is it? Yeah, that's what it is. Doing usually nightly streaming, whether it be Natural Selection 2, Dota 2, StarCraft 2, all the 2s, even PlanetSide 2 sometimes if I feel like it. Yeah, do a lot of streaming as well, and also a lot of casting over there as well, generally on the weekends. But this particular tournament, as we said before, was taken from the C Championship Series on the weekend of the 24th of November, sponsored by TT Esports, Silicon Sports, X-Smash Gear, and Esports SG. Everyone did there were some wonderful games that were going on throughout the weekend. One of my favorites was Moonglade versus Rossi, which was a crazy little game. I'm going to cut the VOD of that, or the highlight, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to pop it up here on YouTube as well, so you guys can catch that game if you weren't able to watch the live stream. But that was a really cool back and forth game there. But yeah, we'll see what happens here in game number 2. This is, again, another nice map for Terrans where you can utilize very easy to secure 3 bases and then sort of push out towards the Zerg and try and stop their 4th from finishing up, or even just take it down. And it can be really abused in a way by the Terran players. We'll talk about the strategy of pushing in as a Terran in a second. We're just watching this Reaper. Will he force attacks at all? Looks like he will. May force this drone to, forces it to abandon ship for the moment. Some excellent micro here from Aegis to force out a single kill so far. Just 1 link. The drone will cancel that extractor, head back to work, and then he's all good. But yeah, this is a normal sort of Reaper attacks that you see at the start of the game. This used to be something that was quite deadly, of course, before players really started watching their micro, jumping drones into extractors or into spawn pools or something like that. It was something that would catch a couple of drones, maybe a bunch of lings if you weren't microing correctly. But these days, players have really evolved the way they play against those the Reapers, and easily deflecting them. Rarely do you ever see drones go down at high level play. So we've got an interesting opening coming out here from Aegis. In fact, actually, I thought he was building a second Rax, and I was like, wow, that's a little bit different. Like a really quick second Rax, but no, he's just going for an expansion. We are going to get a couple of Hellions out, and then as we can see, Starport down the back, which is a little bit different, but I mean, it's a little bit more hidden. Keeps it away from that, from those pesky scouting overlords. Like normally, when Patreus scouts through here, he's going to expect to see a Starport in this sort of position here, but there is nothing of the sort. So he's still a little bit in the dark. We may see this overlord decide to move through, but in fact, at the front door, this Reaper is in trouble. He goes down. A couple of lings will fall down as the price for that, but for the moment, it looks as if everything is going to roll along pretty standard. Yeah, and in fact, okay, he is going to switch it up just slightly. We're going to get a Banshee coming out from Aegis, and it looks as if Cloak will be added on as well. Of course, in the previous patch, well, not the previous one, the last big patch, we had the cost of the Banshee cloak was changed down to 100 instead of the, if I remember correctly, 150. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So it does make it a little bit cheaper. It makes it a little bit more viable in a way. Of course, during the Wings of Liberty, sort of the late 2011 season, we actually did see a lot of Banshee Hellion openings in TVZ, just a very standard kind of way to do it. Of course, it was MVP way back at IEM Cologne in 2011 that really started bringing that into the forefront of TVZ strategy, and it was just a great way to open up against most Zerg players. But then, of course, once you know, Hellbats came about, Widowmines come about, all these sorts of things, you want to be investing your gas in sort of different places or using different harassment tools. So we have we sort of rotated around, the strategy shifted, and now, of course, with the patch that changed over the Cloak Banshee, the cost, it's changed again. Some players do bring out these Cloak Banshees every now and then. They can do quite a bit of damage. And now, as you can see, for Patreus, he has not been able to scout this at all. Down at the back of the base there is where that starport is, and this Banshee is going to come through completely undetected. Cloak is now done. He should secure at least 2, 3, or maybe even 4 of those drone kills, but he was a little bit busy microing on the Hellions there to try and keep them alive for the moment. Of course, you do want to keep those Hellions around for as long as possible. They are your tool to deal with the massive amounts of lings and these kinds of things, as we can see Patreus with a ridiculous amount of lings at this point. But the Banshee does get a little bit of damage done, now targeting down one of the queens, it looks like. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be shot down by that Spore Crawler. Yep, last shot comes out, and in fact it was a queen who got the kill there. But Patreus does survive for now. He takes 7 drone kills, which is, it's a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, he should be okay with that. I mean, he's back up to 54 drones. There are another 8 on the way. A second Banshee is now slowly making its way across the map. We'll see how much damage he can get done with this, because I mean, when the jig's up and the Zerg knows that you've already got that kind of tech in play, just a single spore in each of the mineral lines should be enough to keep your drones alive, and that's no big deal for Patreus. But let's have a look at what he's up to. He's got his Spire on the way, as we can see. We will probably, are we getting, yeah, just the melee upgrades are now complete as well with Carapace and melee attack. We will probably see 2-2 start up in a little while here. We're just waiting for him to get that 4th base up and running. That's a very important part of making sure you have the economy available for that. But what, +2 to melee has started up. We'll get Carapace soon. I would expect centrifugal hooks for those Banes so they can speed along is also coming up for them as well. But Patreus is, well, I mean, he's a little bit behind where he would normally be. Normally you'd see him up at around about 70, possibly even encroaching on 75 drones at this point. But unfortunately, taking a few losses was a little bit of a troublesome aspect of this opening here for him. But he is going to move through. He's going to take the 4th hatchery and set things up. Now, we were talking about strategy of attacking on this map, and of course, once a Terran player starts to get some of those mines out, they've got stim, combat shields, 1-1. This is when we'll expect Aegis to start moving out. Now, the main sort of strategy that you'll get from most Terran players is to push in this direction here and then attack that 4th base. Now, the best way to do that is to set up a couple of Widow Mines here, just to sort of give you this retreat path that lets the Marines spread out and run away from the Lings and the Banes as they try and just charge through here and get the damage done. But the more the Terran is able to get into this position here, where they're able to jump in and set up the sort of the retreat zone, the rally point, I suppose, if they're able to push it in as even further, then that means that it can be an even more deadly kind of push. So that's normally what you do see from Terran players here on this map. And now Aegis with his 5 racks up, we've got 4 reactors on there, Widowmine starting to pop out, Medivacs on the way, 2-2 now researching. He is going to possibly look to start up that push now, especially that he has this 3rd base up and running. This is going to bring in all that extra minerals that Aegis needs to be able to pump out consistently out of all of those racks. And then also, you know, in due time, we may even see him throw down possibly 2, maybe even 3 more racks so that he can supplement the production forces that he'll have available. So Patreus is, he's wanting to try and secure things at the moment, but unfortunately he's having a little bit of a difficult time. Those Banshees are really causing a lot of lost mining time here, as we can see that gas has not been mined for quite a while now. In fact, yeah, there we go. We'll split up some of the drones and get them in there and mining, but now Aegis is going to start to move out. Combat shields, 2-2, they're all on the way, and they should sync up relatively nicely with this push as it hits this position here. This is when the push starts to really become dangerous here, and Aegis is not... you know, he's not going to waste time at all. Clearing out some of this creep here. Wants to maybe put down some of these Widow Mines to start establish that no-go zone for the Zerg. As we can see, Patreus is starting to get some Banelings in here. He already has a bunch of Lings and Banes, but the problem is that with this very small choke point here, it gets very hard to actually maneuver your forces through. Normally what you'll expect the Zerg to do is send in some of the units from the back, but here we go. Patreus possibly looking to move through now, wants to use as little of those Banelings as he can to try and get these forces down, but now coming in through the back, the Widow Mines get some wonderful shots off there, taking out the majority of the Banes. It looks like a lot of the Marines will start to fall though, as the Banes and the Lings get through, and they do a huge amount of damage there with the 2-2 active on all of these units for the ground forces for Patreus. He's able to sweep through there and crush a lot of what was going on, but unfortunately his Banelings are morphing right in the middle of a Marine pack that was approaching. Now pushing through even further, they take out the Banes and they do kill off a bunch of them. Patreus madly scrambling to try and get some more Lings out. 28 are all the way. Aegis will slowly start to push through. We can see this is the big thing about playing TVZ, is that when the Terran is starting to rally towards your side of the map, once this rally point changes to somewhere like around here, that's when you're starting to fall into a little bit of trouble, because the train starts to approach and you cannot stop it. There are no brakes on that train, I tell you what, because it just gets so hard to deal with. But Patreus will do what he can here. As we can see, he's starting to bust through some of the groups. The Mutas, however, are getting a little bit gung-ho, perhaps pushing a little bit too far forward, but the Banes will soak up some of the damage and take out some of those Marines. The Medevacs doing their best to try and heal things up, but the Mutas and the Banes are still pushing through slowly but surely. A massive hit there for Patreus. He takes out a huge amount of those Marines, but more and more Marines are now starting to pop out, especially with these extra 3 racks now finished up. A third factory is on the way for Aegis, giving him a huge amount of Widow Mine production potential there. But Patreus has broken through. He's taken out a lot of the Banes, but he's taken out a lot of the Marines, but his 4th base is barely mining at this point. He does need that extra minerals coming in as well, so that he can continually produce all of those Lings that he needs. But now the Banelings, yet again, we're trying to morph in some more Banelings to try and save the day, but I'm not sure if this is going to happen, because Aegis is really starting to push in. His huge blocks of Marine forces are now starting to make their way through. The Banelings are chewing up all of these units here very quickly. The Thor, in fact, comes through, lays down a couple of big Javelin missile shots on that flock of Mutas, and that could be it here for Patreus. He's just got so much to deal with here in the 4th base, and once this door goes to in fact it does get taken down. Nice target fire by Patreus, but I think it is all too much here. The 2-2 Marines are now pushing in. Stim is just giving them so much firepower, and that, well, I mean, actually Patreus does take out a lot of the Marines, but they're still coming. They're being produced at 15 at a time, and +3 to weapons is just about complete too. Patreus is trying to fight back. His economy is still a little bit struggling here at the 4th base. He has established a 5th down towards the bottom left-hand side of the map, but the Marines are now in, and there are those Widow Mines actually getting inside and forcing that no-go zone to be right inside the 4th base here, and that forces Patreus to GG. So we will move through to game number 3, as you can see on the scoreboard down there. In the bottom left, we have evened it up. We'll move into game 3, which I believe is on Polar Night. We'll catch you there in a moment. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units, and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for Minigun, he's been sticking with a much more